Randy Johnson, thanks for coming by to visit us. And you've come to talk on a North Carolina Bookwatch program about your great book, Grandfather Mountain, The History and Guide to an Appalachian Icon, which is going to come out shortly. But you've got a book that is out now, North Carolina Hiking. It's a third edition of a classic book. Tell us about hiking in North Carolina, what you set out to accomplish.
Well, the book came out in 1996, so that means this is 20 years later, and this is the third edition. And I'm extremely excited about this because, I mean, the book it's a best-selling statewide trail guide. I'm pleased to say that, but previous editions have been with black and white photography and black and white maps, and that's okay. But the third edition, it's all full-color photography, full-color maps, and it just is remarkably different from the original.
What do you seek to do in the book? But from the first, second, and third edition, what's the point?
Well, the updated version, to me, I'm really excited about the fact that 2016 is the centennial of North Carolina state parks. So I have rewritten many parts of the book to relate to that centennial. I've included new state parks, and part of the goal is, I mean, I'm an old newspaper guy. You know, I don't just write travel features. I mean, I like to keep things up to date. I like news pegs and that kind of thing. And this book really brings us up to date on the state of trails in what I call a great trail state.
Is this all over the state or just the mountains?
All over the state. Mountains to sea. Update the Mountains to Sea Trail. In fact, that trail is growing by leaps and bounds. It's highlighted in this book. The state park centennial's in there. In fact, there's a brand new system of interpretive trails for kids growing across the state called the track trail system. Many are in state parks, and I have a tremendous list of these new trails in this book. So it's really an update.
Well, for those of us who say, well, okay, nice that you've got all these hiking trails, I'd like to read about them. If I just say, hey, Randy, give me, is there just one that any North Carolinian should not miss? You'd say all of them. There are 500 that you shouldn't miss, but give us an illustration of one of the many that you shouldn't miss.
Okay, I don't want to be redundant, DJ, but sitting in the background here is Grandfather Mountain, A History and Guide to an Appalachian Icon. I love Grandfather Mountain, and before this book, that book was probably had the most comprehensive coverage of Grandfather Mountain's trails in it. So I would just say hike Grandfather Mountain.
All right, well, okay, let me push you on that then. You go to Grandfather Mountain and you drive up to the swinging bridge and you say, well, I want to take a hike. Is that where you start your hike?
Well, there is Grandfather Mountain State Park now, and you can start in the valleys at the Profile Trail, at the Daniel Boone Scout Trail, and I recommend those. But drive to the swinging bridge, start up there, go patronize the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation, and if you start up there at the top, the hike's a little easier, but it also takes you right over the trail that climbs ladders over cliff faces, up over Attic Window and McCrae Peak, all the way to Callaway. There are easier ways to do that hike too. There's a short loop you can make, and then there's a long hike. Ultimately, start there, but the state park has great trails too. You'll want to go to Callaway Peak, and probably the easiest way to do that.
Sound like you got a week's work there. A week's worth of what?
Go to the high country and spend 4 or 5 days hiking Grandfather. It's just what it is.
What about in the other parts of the state? Is there a good trail for those of us who live in the Piedmont?
Boy, the Mountains to Sea Trail is growing across the state. There are tremendous sections of the Mountains to Sea Trail that are really nice. Have you ever hiked in Greensboro?
I bicycled through places in Greensboro.
Okay. Well, that's the great thing about Greensboro. The bicycling trails abut great hiking trails. I recommend Lake Brant.
Yes.
Big section on Lake Brant in here. Beautiful lakeside hiking, especially in early November when the autumn color is spectacular.
I'm putting it on my list.
Please do.
I'm putting it on my list to purchase a copy of this book, and even if I don't hike those trails, I can read about what other people are doing.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Randy. And looking forward to our conversation on North Carolina Bookwatch about your Grandfather Mountain book.
Thank you, DJ.